When shame in the game got you spiraling down the hill and you're looking at your future self, he's looking kind of ill, but they're so perfect on social. You're just looking for something real. Let's get the beans and the tea on the table so we can spill. This is the Brunch Budget podcast with your hosts, Pamela Capallet, a certified financial planner and accredited financial counselor, founder of the Brunch and Budget Pockets Change and Sea Change. He's here to take the bite out of your budget.
And your other host, Dialect, the director of pedagogy at Pocket Change and co-founder of Sea Change, our community-based financial planning program specifically designed for people of color. He's here to change the way you talk about finance.
Recorded live-ish from Greenhouse Studios deep in the heart of Planet Brooklyn. It's Brunchin' and Budget and Brunchin' and Budget. What's going on, y'all? Y'all know the Biggie Johns, right?
I just learned it. Don't be mad at me, y'all.
Wow, you've been living in Brooklyn this long and you don't have every single Biggie Smalls song memorized?
I have to get on that. I know. Hi, everybody. We're here for a very special episode, actually. I hope you enjoyed our first arc, the recessions arc.
Yeah,
season 2.
We're dropping the language now, the lexicon. Yeah, we're calling them arcs. These, if you haven't noticed, we've been doing a lot now where we take a topic and we break it up into 3 episodes where we talk about different aspects of it.
Yes,
Today
this is
gonna be a little
season
different.
2 of Brunch and Budget.
Yes, this is season 2 stuff. Today's a little bit different. This is a special. Today we're talking about being shameless.
Let's be shameless, everybody. Let's be shameless about your money.
I don't know if y'all know how much shame has everything to do with these financial decisions that we make. It's in our advertising, it's in our mores, it's in our religions, it's in our communities, it's in the back of our head whenever we spend or don't spend money. It's mad contradictory too. We did a workshop with our Sea Changers and other members of the community, and we were talking about these things that we're going to go over with y'all today. So we talk about shame. Only love can ease the pain. Sorry, there's so many good songs about shame, too, just like good money.
Then we're going to talk about systems. Mm-hmm. So the systems that are put in place to make us feel shame and get us caught in the cycle of shame.
And then we go into the values that once we define, we can use as armor to keep the shame away from us.
Yes, and then we're going to talk about advocacy, which is what you can do once you get past the shame and you start to really feel shameless about your money.
Yeah, and then shout out to what we do with Sea Change, where we make change so we can see change and make a sea change.
Shameless plug, y'all.
Yeah, gotta have a little bit of that. What we did at the beginning of the workshop that I thought was mad impactful was I asked them for like a really easy shameless thing, and my thing was about food. What is your unpopular food opinion? I had as the intro prompt pineapple and pizza. I swear, you just bring that up. We was just here in the studio. We brought that up, and it became a whole
Willie's
thing.
Shaking his head right now. He was like, yes, pineapple over here and pizza over there.
I mean, they do come from culturally distinct communities.
They do. It's true. I'm a pineapple on pizza person, personally.
I am too, but I understand the contradiction. I mean, there's already so much acid in the tomato sauce already. What are you doing going further in that? Then it's just like a alien's blood.
Yes, so feel just as shameless about your pineapple or no pineapple on pizza as you do about your money.
When you start getting into this money stuff, I want you to figure out something that you can be shameless about. What are you shameless about? Your extensive knowledge of medieval history, your sneaker collection. What's a thing that you're shameless about that you're like, this is me, that's mine, I'm proud. It's okay to be proud of some stuff.
Yes. So let's talk about shame. Let's talk about where it comes from.
Shame is... I had to work twice as hard for half the love.
I've been disbelieved and disrespected.
Tokenized and minimized.
But I survived, right?
My parents don't understand what I do.
I got people who rely on me.
It's generational, oppositional.
Can't fail or make a mistake.
There are no risks, only sacrifices.
I'm somebody's American dream.
Do I even deserve this? If any of these statements resonate with you or any of the margins in between, then you have been subjected to a level of shame that is meant to break you down and make it so people can extract stuff from you. You know, we talk about exploitation a lot, but we don't talk enough about extraction, where you are paralyzed and you allow folks to take.
That is what shame feels like. It feels like you are completely stopped and you cannot move. You cannot move forward. You cannot move backwards. You cannot move at all.
Shame costs you money and time and energy too. Shame be wearing you down.
Yeah, it really does.
You know-
So let's start like we always do.
Yeah, well, talking about our money personalities and things like that. And I think I want to break this down very simply for heads. We should probably do this a little bit more often. We always get in the weeds of it. But for our complicators, for people who answered A for question 1, A for question 2.
And if you've never taken the money personality quiz, go to brunchandbudget.com/personality and take the two question quiz.
For complicators, shame manifests as a fear of being unprepared. That you're not ready. So, you have to do the stuff that you're being told to do. And what you get shamed into do is buying sale items that you don't want. How many of y'all got a pile of something that you thought you should buy and you're never going to use?
Don't look in my closet, y'all.
I
Don't look.
think-
There's so many dish towels.
Most of us have parents who've done this or
Yes.
some older relative that's just got a pile of it. Because I think in the generation before us, they weren't primed to understand that this sale was a trick.
I
So
have
they
a question
always
for
went
you,
for it.
Dialect. Have we ever bought a single dish?
I've never, a dish.
A single plate or spoon or cup?
I bought a set of plates in 2005.
When we moved into our house 10
That's
years
the only
ago,
time in my life that I've ever bought a plate.
my mom gave us a full set of pans, a full set of plates, another full set of china, 20 spoons, forks, knives.
I want to say it's because she was very excited for us to start our life and had been preparing for this moment for a while, but probably not.
Sure.
No, it's probably, hey.
Shout out to mom for real though.
Shout out to the moms out there who are making those plans, but a lot of times you're just buying it just in case.
Yeah, exactly. And because it was on sale. And one thing that I learned when I was a kid was that you should only buy something if it's on sale. And what that translated to me was, oh, I can buy it if it's on sale.
You know, what's an ill thing coming from my mom, a whole different thing. She had a catchphrase that I loved where she said, a sale's not a sale if you still can't afford it, right? Which made it a thing where, like, I don't need to save up to buy the sale item if it's going to break my back. But conversely, when you can afford it, you're like, I'm going to just do it because it's easy. It's on
Because
sale.
it's there. The real phrase that someone dropped in the workshop that we should start saying is, a sale's not a sale if you don't need it. If you don't need it or if you don't want it. Because I remember looking around my apartment as an adult with this philosophy and looking around and thinking, I kind of hate everything in here. I never actually bought anything I wanted. I just bought stuff on sale.
Yeah, this is where the needs versus wants gets messy.
Yep. I was
because
shamed into sales.
You spend money on the stuff that you don't even want because you think someone else decided it's what you need.
Yep.
Now, if you answered A for 1 and B for 2, you might be a contemplator. And for contemplators, shame manifests as self-recrimination. You start blaming you for all the bad financial stuff that happens to you. A lot of times, this happens when you're not paying a bill and you end up with a late fee, or you take too long to get into something and there's some extra charge that's added on top, or you wanted to get in for the sale, but you got there 3 days after the sale ended and you're like, oh, I missed it. And you go and buy it anyway. You pay the late fee. You pay these charges, not because you want to get it off your back and move on with your life, but because you think that you deserve this. You think that you have earned this extra fee that you have to pay because you did wrong.
Yeah.
You feel bad about it. You feel stupid. You feel like you've already been taken advantage of, so now you want to take advantage of yourself by paying your money to other people.
Yeah, it's like you owe them something now for whatever reason, and you don't.
It's you giving up control, actually, in this space. That's really what the thing of it is. It's so interesting how complicator and contemplator have the opposite reactions to the same internal feeling.
Yeah, because as a complicator, I am calling every single bank about every single late fee and asking them to reverse it.
Again, because of your relationship with control.
Exactly.
Where you want to bring this control back. With the contemplator, you feel like if you haven't naturally grabbed onto and controlled this thing, then you are not the worthy person. It's like the Thor hammer thing. Then you're not worthy and you got to drop the hammer.
Yeah, it's true. Whew.
I guess you should drop the hammer, but not in that. The metaphors are getting messy.
So if you answered B for 1 and A for 2 in the money personality quiz, it's brunchandbudget.com/personality, your shame manifests as fear of missing out. And you can be shamed into buying the next big thing, the new side hustle, into the thing that's going to change everything.
This is why paper chasers, when the pandemic was first popping off, were getting caught up in these blessing loom type of scandals and all of these like start a new business type of scams where someone's like, yo, you're smart and you're bad. All you need to do is give me $500 and then you can be an entrepreneur and make a whole bunch more money.
Yeah, the thing about paper chasers is you don't want to miss out on anything because you're so good at finding opportunities. And there is also a lot of shame around any missed opportunities or any opportunities that were actually scams.
You see, and this shame is what supersedes your massive intelligence because, paper chasers are so good at research when they take time to do it, but the shame will make you jump over the research and say, I have to do this now without looking into it.
Yeah. And the thing to really overcome, I feel like for everyone, right? The thing to really do is to forgive yourselves for all those past times where those opportunities didn't work out, where you felt exploited or taken advantage of. Because the last thing a paper chaser ever wants to feel is that someone got one over on them or someone screwed them over.
Guilt is a big guilt and shame are not exactly the same thing. We're doing a lot of reading about the psychological effects and reasons, but guilt is often a byproduct of shame, because this happens to money monks as well. Those are the ones who answered B for 1 and B for 2 on the quiz, and that manifests as survivor's guilt, similar to the contemplator being like, well, I should pay the extra fee because, I wasn't good and I didn't do all these kind of things. Money monks are like, yo, the system is rigged and it's bad and it's fake, which like we all know these things are true. So if I made it to a point where I'm okay, then I feel bad about that because it was just luck. I did prepare and I worked and all that stuff, but lots of people are preparing and working. And I feel bad about this extra money that I've got that I've taken for myself. And we can be guilted into and shamed into picking up the tab a little bit more often than we need to. A lot of times we want to make sure everyone else feels calm, everyone else feels chill, and we don't have stress around money. So we will bring ourselves to the point where now we got stress around money.
So that is your money personality and shame. And we start with this because ultimately your tendencies around money are going to affect your relationship with it.
And if you think that these things are unfair, unequitable, and unsustainable, you're not wrong, you're not stupid, and you're not alone.
Today's episode is sponsored by us, Brunch and Budget. Brunch and Budget is not just a podcast. It's a financial planning practice with a team of certified financial planners and accredited financial counselors ready to work with people who need a safe space to talk about your finances. Many of our clients come to us because someone or something made them feel bad about their money. We are the antidote to that. We do all our financial planning and coaching through a racial wealth equity lens, and we'll use our very own 5 stages to financial legacy to show you how far you've come and where you're headed. Go to brunchandbudget.com to learn more. So we want to talk a little bit about Sea Change today because Sea Change was built around helping people of color in particular heal their relationship with their finances.
Yeah, and we talk about people of color who are marginalized in this country in particular just for existing, and the ways in which everybody, that includes white people, are marginalized and messed with regard to shame and money often go back to, in this country in particular, anti-blackness and other forms of racial discrimination. There is such a one-on-one correlation between our money and how we feel about ourselves. It's so wild. And setting up these racial hierarchies, it's not just that they permeate everything. It's that it's the low-hanging fruit. Whenever people are like, why does everything go back to racism? It shouldn't be it's not because there was a genius master plan for everyone to do this. It's that it's really easy. It's really easy to use racial animus to shame people and extract money from them.
Yeah.
So people have done it in almost every single possible industry. And it's not because it's a big conspiracy. It's because it's easy.
Yeah. So we created Sea Change, which is a community-based financial coaching program for people of color, because we had a mission to create racial economic inclusion and give people of color the tools to build generational wealth. And the reason why we specifically focus on people of color is because If you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you know that the racial wealth divide runs deep. And there is no safe space for people of color to come together and really break down the shame and the embarrassment and the guilt and the generational trauma that we have experienced when it comes to our finances and when it comes to being denied the ability to build wealth.
Many people who are dragged forcibly or careened desperately into these countries come from collectivist cultures where we've been pushed into this individual idea that personal responsibility is the cause of your ills and the vehicle of your escape. This is the shame of personal responsibility. This is where folks take systemic problems, take larger than life issues and say, this is your fault. Even this thing, like right now, everybody's talking a lot more about climate change, right? And there was this big thing of like, well, if you would just stop eating meat or if you would stop doing this one little harmful thing and you do the math on that. And
stop drinking out of straws.
Right, the straw, John.
Really?
Right, like, yeah, no, I get it. Hey, look, shout out to my peoples on St. Croix. In a lot of Caribbean islands, you see the straws and they're a bad thing for the local environment and stuff like that. And I see this little small stuff. But when you do the math and you realize that big corporations who make all sorts of money that you get no decision making on are doing 90%, I think it was the number, it was like 70% of all the emissions are coming from like just a few corporations. You realize there's not much that you can do. And a lot of the stuff that you can do has been manipulated by the people who hold the money bag over your head.
Yes, but they want you to feel like it's your fault.
I want to pull out this one thing I just found out. This is wild stuff that I just found out that, again, it's low-hanging fruit of racism. So rent, right? Rent sucks. Rent's expensive. Rent costs a lot.
But you have to pay it.
And you got to pay it right away. You got to pay it before.
When is rent due? When is rent due?
On the 1st.
Yeah,
rent is due on the 1st. Maybe if you're lucky, they'll let you pay on the 3rd. But
yeah, Willie, your rent's due on the 1st, right?
Your rent's paid on the 1st. And that makes sense. And we believe that and we know that. You know when that started? Around 1866. Is that a familiar time for anybody? So during Reconstruction times, after the Emancipation Proclamation and all that good stuff, renters didn't want black people to live in their houses. But they couldn't legally say, well, you just can't live in the house. So they did the low-hanging fruit thing of, well, now you have to pay the full rent by the 1st of the month. Before that, you could pay by the end of the month because when you go to a restaurant, you don't pay before you get your food in a lot of places, right? You go there, you sit down, and you get your food. Even in a spot, right, where you pay, they're going to bring you your food, and then you get out of there.
Well, and if you think about the cycle of earning money and paying money, you have to work before you get paid.
Oh, yeah, you don't get your paycheck before you start.
Yeah, you don't. They're not like, here's your money, I hope you work.
Unless you're a landlord.
If you're a landlord,
you get your paycheck before work even starts. Hey, guess what also wasn't a thing before 1866?
What?
Security deposits! They were illegal. They were considered immoral.
Yes.
And wrong.
Coercive penalties.
Right. And now, I can see how it happened too, right? Because there's black folks and they're like, we want to get this apartment. They're like, how do we keep these black folks out? Well, you got to pay by the 1st. And then they're like, okay. And then they did it. Right?
They're like, oh, wait.
Yeah, like, okay, well, now you got to pay double. And they're like, what do you mean double? Yeah, well, you got to pay a deposit. And now it's like first and last and deposit. People want all of this stuff.
Pet fees, everything.
And hey, my white friends out there, this has happened to you too, right? It sucks, right?
I feel like we all have to pay our rent by the 1st of the month.
Well, it's happened to everyone, but this is the stuff that I'm saying. It's like it's important for us to understand the anti-blackness and the discrimination in here because it ends up affecting all of us. One of my I hate to say favorite, but I guess one of my favorite things about white supremacy is white supremacy doesn't care about white people. When they say white supremacy, when they say white supremacy, they mean Steve White, the person who's holding the purse strings over everybody. What did they say if you have a black hat? We're not saying we hate all white people, just Whitey DeLuca, our manager, who was screwed, right? They don't consider you part of the crew. It's so ill because white supremacy would be like, oh, disabled people, you're not actually white. Oh, poor white people, you're not actually white. That's what like the white trash thing coming up in here. They're quick to excommunicate y'all from the group too. So when you look at this racial discrimination when it comes to money, it will eventually come and hit you in the behind as well, no matter your background. That's why we all need to know it. Aside from just like, please, y'all, why don't we have empathy for marginalized folks?
Yes, exactly. So when it comes to all of this, though, right, this system is rigged and it shames you into thinking that it's your fault when in reality, this shit was designed for you to fail, right down to where you freaking live.
It's even worse than that. It's more insidious. Can we talk about the next layer of things? And this is also something that's a little bit new to us.
Oh, yeah. Here's the next layer. So, does anyone like filling out paperwork? Does anyone get literal anxiety when they have to think about filling out paperwork? Who loves Willie's like raising his hand.
Yo, how many times you go to the doctor's office and you fill out all this stuff and they're like, what are your allergies? What are your family's allergies? Did your dad have a thing? What's this stuff, right? And you fill it out and then they make you fill out the same thing again.
Yeah, you talk to the nurse and they're like, oh, I'm going to ask you these same questions. You talk to the doctor, they're like, okay, can I ask you these exact same questions?
The third time I have to write my social security number on something, I start feeling stressed.
Yeah.
This is private stuff. I'm not supposed to be filling out in triplicate. Why am I filling it out in triplicate? Do I work for you?
Yo, I literally Googled fear of paperwork Reddit and like so many pages of threads came up. People are like, is there a phobia for paperwork? I don't know. I have a Mensa level IQ and I can't fill out paperwork.
One thing that's funny about it is she had to put Reddit in there because if you just put the paperwork thing, all you're going to get are advertisements to help you fill out your paperwork.
Yeah, like ads for like digital paperwork filler outers. Oh my God, I have to share one of our clients. When I asked, this is a question I ask, what keeps you up at night? And she wrote, I avoid dealing with my paperwork. There's no excuse. I just don't do it. The thought of having to sift through websites, paper, and sit on the phone with someone to handle bills, loans, etc. is almost as bad as eating poop.
Now there is an endorsement. Wow. I guess we at least we didn't get that on our, I'm saying this now, it's going to happen. We didn't have that as a review on our podcast, right?
It's true. The podcast is almost as bad as eating poop. So here's the funny thing, though, right? Paperwork is just a fact of life, though, right? Dialect.
It's natural.
It's natural. How else do people get information from you, right?
Like the noble sea lion.
Do you want to learn about the history of paperwork, y'all? Anyone want to hear about how paperwork came into existence?
Oh, you know we do.
I do.
Was it founded by 90s, 2000s rapper Paperboy?
Yes.
All about that Paperboy?
That's it. That's the whole history.
Shout
and now
Paperboy. What you doing? You got any new songs
So
for
here's
us?
the really real, because I deal with this all the time. One of these services that we have in Sea Change is that we have these things called Brunch Club where you can come and you can talk to a coach, you can work with other sea changers, and you can actually get help filling out applications, forms, paperwork, things like that, because I know and I have witnessed literal paperwork anxiety. So this is like something that I was trying to figure out, like, where does this come from? And so paperwork used to be internal documents that businesses filled out for you. So the reason why these forms are so awful to look at is because someone said, hey, I don't want to read all of your notes, Bob, when you talk to the client. Can you fill out this form while you're talking to the client so that I can go in and type it up somewhere or file it somewhere? So they actually used their internal paperwork to build a relationship with a client. Can you imagine, right? Paperwork to build a relationship. And they also were able to streamline all their internal processes. That's the original purpose of paperwork in the modern day. And so somewhere along the way, though, it became the customer's responsibility to fill out these forms, where instead of you sitting across the table from someone, they handed you a form before you could even have a conversation with someone, but the paperwork stayed just as complicated.
This sounds like the self-checkout thing, right? Used to be you go and you're like, all right, I'm going to get my groceries and you're going to tell me how much it costs and then I'm going to give you money. And now we show up at the thing and they're like, oh, I got to scan the code for the lettuce. What do I know? Was the lettuce? Is this the cabbage? How do I know this thing? And you're stressed out and you're worried about it. And then
it's beeping at you.
Yeah. And you're like, I don't know. I don't want them to feel like I'm stealing from them. I don't work here. Why do I need to know all this stuff?
I don't work here. Why do I have to fill out this paperwork? And then somewhere along the way, people realized that paperwork could become a barrier to access. So there is this article that we'll link to in the show notes called An Unofficial History of Forms. And it stated that 20th century governments delegated the increasing administrative workload that resulted from large social welfare programs to citizens, who then had to fill out the forms on their own.
This is like the opt-in, opt-out stuff.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
If you're not familiar, you know, opt-in versus opt-out. Opt-in means you have to do stuff to be a part of a thing. Opt-out means you just have to say no to get left out of it. Otherwise, they'll automatically include you.
And there's so many examples of this. How many of you have to freaking file your taxes, right? Why do we have to file our taxes? The IRS already has all of your information. When your employer sends you your W-2, they send it to the IRS too.
It's why you're nervous. It feels like a school thing where you're being graded. It's like, you know the answer. You just want to see if I'm lying?
Like, come on, you have all our paperwork. In so many other countries, the tax agency actually sends their taxpayers a completed tax form, and the taxpayer just has to check for any mistakes and send it back.
This is why you had to fill out a form to get your PPP money back. They know that it was a forgivable loan, so if they were just giving it to you, you should just be like, well, we're done. Thanks for the money, right? We're good.
Yep.
But no, you got to fill out a thing because they know that some of you won't.
Yep.
It's the Columbia House thing all over again. 12 CDs for a penny because they know that enough of you won't fill out the form to get the rebate and you'll end up having to pay full price. And they can deal with the few complicators who are like, I love filling forms.
Yep. So that's the thing about paperwork. And from what I've seen, especially with how much paperwork we have to fill out for financial things and how complicated the questions get, people just stop. And someone asked in our workshop the other day, they were like, do rich people have form fillers? And I was like, yes, I was one of them. Literally, my job for the first 3 months in wealth management as an operations assistant was filling out hundreds of forms for rich people. That was my job. Those forms were internal documents that rich people just had to sign at the end.
Reminds me of that Busta Rhymes interlude. I think it was the second album where it was like, when I'm too tired to do the nasty, I pay other people to have sex for me. And you're like, what? You could, I guess, do that? There's this insidious idea that rich people are smarter and better at stuff. I think a lot of people have it in their heads that a billionaire would be able to nail these forms and fill them out super easy, when in fact, they know how to do them less than we do because they don't have to.
They don't have to. Someone's going to do it for them.
Today's episode is sponsored by us, PocketChange. At PocketChange, we offer in-person and virtual workshops for students from grade school to grad school, professional development for educators and administrators, and jams for the whole family to learn, unlearn, and unpack. We use hip-hop pedagogy in the classroom to meet students where they're at, and hip-hop performance in the communities to dispel myths and create new common sense around money. For some free resources, go to pocketchange.com/toolkit and sign up for our newsletter. Let's change the way we talk about finance.
So if you don't have your own form filler, what do you do, right? Because the reality is that we do have to fill out these forms, and there is a lot of anxiety around them. So we have a couple of tips for you based on what we've learned helping clients fill out forms.
What do we do?
What do we do? Well, the first thing you do is to remind yourself that it's not you, it's the paperwork. You know, so many of us, the reason why we have anxiety filling out forms is so many of us got to a question we didn't know the answer to, or we filled out everything except for one thing and they rejected our application, right? And remind yourself, it's not your fault that happened.
Well, we're trying to rush. Next thing that I want y'all to remind yourselves is please go slow. It's going to take twice as long, maybe 3 times as long as you think it's going to take.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be done in one sitting a lot of times, and that's okay too. I mean, when you're at the doctor's office and you have to fill out the forms in front of them, then yes.
Yes, exactly. That's why they make you fill it out in front of them, because they're like, oh, they're not going to fill it out otherwise. But the thing about being at the doctor is that you can go up and ask the receptionist if you don't know how to answer a question.
Yeah, at least they have that kind of support. That's better.
So the next thing is be prepared to not complete it in one sitting, right? If there is a way to preview the questions ahead of time, then that might ease some of your anxiety as well, especially for forms online that have multiple pages that you have to kind of keep moving forward through. But be prepared to not get it all done at once, especially if you're a contemplator or a money monk.
And, when you're working on that, try calling the company if you have a question or don't understand. I know it's a little bit embarrassing, but they work there. So they know what their possible responses are.
Yeah, if you don't know how to fill out your health insurance form, if you don't know how to apply to get like health insurance, if you don't know how to finish applying for a credit card, someone will talk to you on the phone about it. The final thing is to find a money buddy who is good at this. So if you have a friend who's good at filling out forms, if you have someone who doesn't get anxiety around filling them out, or if both of you get anxiety and you can help fill them out together, that will help you get through this process as well.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in on that because it doesn't have to be someone who's good at filling out forms, because trust me, everybody is good at filling out forms that aren't for them.
Oh, yeah.
When it doesn't have anything to do with your emotions, you'll be fine. So if you can help each other fill out your forms, just like the same way your money buddy will help you advocate for yourself when you're calling trying to get a bill changed, you're going to be all right. So when we talk about our values are the armor against shame. When you know what you want, when you know what's important to you, then you're able to make purchasing decisions based on those, and you don't care when the pundits or experts or the random neighbors be saying, well, you shouldn't be doing it.
It's true. So when it comes to our values, what we do is when we think about our values, we actually have everyone who we work with, whether it's Sea Change, whether it's our Budge program, whether it's our Nudge program, talk through their core values and figure them out. And we created our core values questions around the 4 types of wealth. So the first type of wealth is the one that we always think of, right? It's financial wealth. It's money. Yeah, the first type of wealth is money. And our core value question that's tied to that is, and please feel free to answer along with us, if you had $50 million, how would you spend it? And that has to do with you thinking about, if money was no object, what would you do with it? Right? What would you do if you had a pile of money? And what has been really interesting about this question is most of our clients would take what they need of that $50 million. And often a lot of them are like, and then I just figure out how to give away the rest.
Think what a rapper in 2003 would have done. I'm specifically referencing Jay-Z and Jermaine Dupri's "Money Ain't a Thing." But really, that's what all the $1 million music videos was about. Is like, I've got all this money. What should I do? Let's star in a 3-minute action movie.
There you go. So the second type of wealth is social wealth. So wealth within your community or having status within your community.
That's props. That's love. That's the ability to come into a place and they'll give you things for free and they'll have your back and they'll be down with you and listen to what you say.
Yes, that's reputation. So core value question number 2 is, if you could be on the board of any organization or company, what would it be and why? And that will tell you what kinds of organizations you value and how you enjoy helping people.
Yo, it's okay for you to want to be in a place that you think is cool. I know sometimes it's like, well, I want to do something that's going to help the most amount of people. No, just pick a place, pick a lane that you think that you would feel comfortable riding in and making these decisions for, and that's cool.
Yeah, well, because I really love your answer to this dialect is you would like to be on the board of Spotify. Mm. That's something that you've said because you want to have a voice for other musicians and other artists.
Yeah, and I'm saying Spotify, not even necessarily because I love that company in particular, but one that has a lot of sway over musicians and what they're doing.
Exactly.
I want to be able to have their back the same way I wish that when I was younger, folks had mine.
So the third type of wealth is time wealth, and that's the freedom and ability to do what you want. And so the core value question to answer with that is, describe the perfect week. How would you spend your time? And so if you had no restraints, how would you put together a perfect week? And it's so interesting to me because people either answer this question one of 2 ways. They think of either the perfect week away from their day-to-day, or they structure how they would want a perfect week to go every single week.
That was me, and it was really eye-opening for me to be like, well, if my week was mine and I was in charge of it, I still put spaces for me to be beholden to other people because I just know how that goes, and that's still an important part of the thing that I do. But I created these spaces that were hypothetical and theoretical, but are becoming more real because since I saw them, I knew that I wanted them.
Yeah. I love it. And then the fourth type of wealth is physical wealth. So your health. And they always say health equals wealth. And the core value question for this is, what did you want to be when you grew up and why? And if your kid self saw you today, what would they think? And we want you to go back to that time because when you were a kid, as kids, we were more in touch with our bodies and with our health and with our physical selves than we are as adults. Somewhere along the way, we are taught that our mind is more important than our body, right? We are taught that our mind can override our body in a lot of ways. And so we want you to go back to that time when you were a kid and think back to how you felt, and that will get you back to that place.
I really love the line from Common Sense back in the day. He said, "A rich man is one with knowledge, happiness, and his health." And all of those things, I know they're broad and kind of abstract, but seeing how those work together, it lets you know about you need a break. You need to breathe. You need to have the water. You need to have the food. And you need to have the energy. Because if you don't have the energy, you're running on fumes. And if you've ever run a car on fumes, you know it's not running well. And you won't either.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So the final thing we want to talk about today is advocacy. And that comes with the 5 financial stages. Brunch and Budget's 5 stages to your financial legacy. And this is something that we created. It's something that we've integrated into our podcast because what we found when we've done this with clients, when we've talked through with people, is for the first time, clients feel like their finances are organized. It feels like they have a clear path for what direction they want to go in. They have an understanding of what they've done already. And also, there's a framework and a structure around how you can get to the next stage and the next stage and what the last stage looks like, right? I feel like so many of us are taught to just get through and be able to tread water, to get through stability, to be financially stable.
Well, one thing I really love about it is the way that it breaks down class and classism. We have this idea we're either rich or poor. In my head, even to this day, I always think of things in that, like, and there's some invisible line between the two of them, right? And you're either rich or you're poor, and you want to get to the other space, to the rich place where you're okay and taken care of. But no one talks about the pieces along the way.
Yeah, what is the in-between? And also, that binary, right, of rich and poor is not really how things shake out.
Oh, people love to be like, you could be rich right now, and then the next day you up and poor. And it's like, well, in the movies and in extreme cases, sure. But in reality, that's not usually how it shakes out.
Yeah. So we talk about the 5 stages often now. But I want to go through each of them and what they look like so that you have an understanding of what the path is for you. And so the 5 stages are financial safety, financial stability, financial sustainability, financial independence, and financial legacy.
Yeah, and in financial safety, this is when you're unsure where your money's going, your bills feel out of control, and your debt feels unmanageable, and you have little to no savings.
Yes, stage 2, financial stability, looks like you have a bit of a savings cushion, your debt is not increasing, you're learning more about investing, but you still might be one paycheck away from financial trouble.
The 3rd stage is sustainability, which looks like you have established habits and savings, you're comfortably paying your auto bill, you're comfortably auto-paying your bills, comfortably paying your auto bills. I'm paying my automobiles. That's what I'm thinking, too much, my child of destiny. Your debt is decreasing, and you've got retirement investments.
Yeah, they're increasing too. So in stage 4, which is financial independence, it looks like you're working because you want to, not because you have to. You don't have any credit card debt, and you have enough to fund extended time off.
Yeah, in your 5th stage, legacy, that's when your investments are funding your lifestyle. Yeah, you're not making money. That's when your money is making money. And now you get to contribute to your community in significant amounts. You don't need a credit score anymore. You don't need to do any of the ladder stuff. You just need to not pull up the ladder behind you.
Yes, exactly. So those are our 5 stages. And what we found is that when people go through them and they have an understanding of where they are and what they need to go to, they have a better understanding of how and what they need to advocate for. And when you know what the whole picture looks like and where you are within it, then you can really feel in control of your finances.
Yeah, and that's when you're ready to get really shameless.
Really,
I want you to, after listening to this episode and thinking about your finances and stuff like that, I want you to find something to be proud of. It can be a monetary thing. It can be a career-related thing. It can be a personal thing. I want you to find something and pat yourself on the friggin' back. Barry Horowitz it. It's going to be all right.
Yep.
I want you to pat yourself on the back for this wonderful thing that is about you, that you have done, that you will do. And remember that you're going to be all right because you do well, because you work hard, because you try, because stuff matters to you.
So we've taken all of this and put all of this into all our programs. And we wanted to talk today about Sea Change because Sea Change is launching again next week. It's reopening for good on September 9th. You can sign up anytime between now and forever, I guess.
A little warning, we have a little bit of paperwork for you to fill out when you sign up for Sea Change, but we have people who are ready to have your back on it, and most of the information is stuff that we just need to know about you so we can keep on improving.
Yeah, so here's what you get when you sign up for Sea Change. The thing about Sea Change is you get a financial coach who specifically works with you to educate and empower you to heal your relationship with money and build financial resilience. And we do that through helping you create your recipe for wealth, through getting your own financial coach, and through your community. So your recipe for wealth is a combination of your core values. So we help you figure out what your core values are, answer those questions. You get a timeline of your goals so you can prioritize what needs to happen next. You get 5 stages to your financial legacy, and you and your coach actually go through all these stages. You get a commitment and accountability plan that works around and is realistic with your other commitments that you have, because we want to acknowledge that as well. You get a personal financial portal where you can link all of your accounts and see where your money is going. And you get targeted education courses that are directly tied to the tasks and the action steps in the 5 stages to your financial legacy. There are over 90 action steps to take to get you from financial safety to financial legacy. The next thing you get is you get a financial coach who's an accredited financial counselor. They have training in interpersonal neurobiology for people of color. They guide you through your recipe for wealth. So you get 2 initial calls. You get 1 30-minute tech call and 1 45-minute strategy call. You can private message your coach anytime. You get 2 progress calls per year. And you can get coached in real time in our brunch clubs.
Yes, in the brunch club. That's going to be a virtual space where 3 times a month you can come as you are and get financial tasks done with other scene changers and chat with a coach in real time.
And this is where you can get those loan applications filled out. This is where I have to shout out one of our sea changers who literally, while we were filling out and putting together this workshop, told us, she shouted out one of our financial coaches. She said, "Shout out to Brittany Davis for being my emotional support while I completed and submitted my direct loan application for my student loans. There are a couple of phrases in the application that would have made me stop altogether, but she coached me through. Thank you, thank you." She did that during a brunch club. She consolidated her debt during brunch club.
We also have our community groups, I Work for Me, First Gen Kid, Family Legacy, Reimagining Identity, where you can dial down to some specific needs that you have and talk to other people who have those same issues, like the First Gen Kids. So many of us are first generation, either in this country, making a certain amount of money, getting a certain level of education or status or anything.
Yeah. And within those community groups, you can have community conversations 3 times a year with your specific community group, or you can come monthly and check out what all the community groups are talking about. And then we have a community app where you can stay connected to Sea Changers. That's where that Sea Changer posted that shout out. And that's where you really have a hub for all of these things that are happening. So yeah, that's our program. You can sign up at brunchandbudget.com/seachange starting now. It opens on 9/9. But if you sign up before then you are able to get access to our Find 1K in 30-day challenge. The thing that we ask for is that you commit for a minimum of a year, because what we've learned is that is how long it takes to start unlearning and undoing all of the generational money habits that have been holding you back.
Yeah, it sounds good. And we're going to leave y'all. Thank you for listening to How to Get Shameless About Money. We're going to leave you with a song called Shameless by an artist from Rochester, New York named Pounds. And we'll check you next time. Thanks for listening.
Just that pain. Y'all feel me? I'm twisting the dope, digging for a glimmer of hope. This heart breaks like a shiver in the throat. I just give it a rope. In and out of passion with the same love. Damn. A lot of actions I'm ashamed of. Times we get manic. Mind being panicked. Need your love in an IV. I cry the Atlantic. Never walk away. All signs lead to addict. Pain in my eyes, didn't I see the damage? Love you to death, but brought death to the love. Cook one through the chest and cost less than a slug. Cause me without you is like we without fuel to light. We can piece it out, speak about doing right. Ain't no pointing fingers when in a life, love can let it go in vain. Can't stress it enough, ain't trying to die in fear. See reflection of us in our child's tears. Feel like I'm dying. I can't walk around pretending I'm fine. Let's make it work, I ain't lying. And we done been here so many times. I got plans for the future, babe. I don't wanna lose you, babe. Trying not to lose the faith. Somebody pray for me. I'ma keep loving shamelessly. I got pain in my soul, I know you do too. Let that bitterness go, don't let it ruin you. Nah, I'm the reason for it all. My heart's bleeding, can you call? I need your energy, I need your vibe. Need you to look me in my eyes when I'm inside. You my inspiration, you my drive. I'm on the edge trying not to dive. Baby, I'm hurt, feel like I'm dying. I can't walk around pretending I'm fine. Let's make it work, I ain't lying. And we done been here so many times. I got plans for the future, babe. I don't wanna lose you, babe. Trying not to lose the faith. Somebody pray for me. I'ma keep loving shamelessly.